connection. We crave it. Many of us are starved for it. And yet we do the oddest things to block it, to push it aside, to turn it away, to shut it out. I have this memory. I am giving my voice students their midterm. I'm looking out across the rehearsal hall, and I am seeing all these drama students all draped all over each other, leaning on each other and filling in their midterms, and my eye lands on the jock. I don't know why he's taking this class. He wants an easy A. He wants to see theater students in their natural habitat. Time passes. People are getting up, they're walking over to me, they're dropping down the midterm, and they're like, hey, see you later, Hilary. And time is ticking, and we have one person left. The jock. He finally rises, puts on his baseball cap and his leather jacket, and he comes on over in his sauntering style, lays down his midterm. Out of the corner of my eye, I see all of this tiny writing, tons of handwriting filling in the answers. And he says, Miss, I've been using the voice exercises with the coach because I think that he would be a better leader and the team would listen to him better if he were using his voice differently. Poof. Mind blown. Little tiny box that I had put that guy in blown apart. I had completely flattened him and squished him and stereotyped him and put him as an other. Why do we do that? Why do I do that? Why did I do that to my own student? Am I moving so quickly? Am I tired? What's going on? That it's like pulling in for fast food. I'm in a hurry. I know it's not great for me, but I'm going to pull in. French fries sound great, and I get my fast food. Are stereotypes the fast food of connection? They label, and labels limit. And when we limit, what are we doing to people? Isn't it diminishing them? Isn't it disregarding them? Isn't it devaluing them? And if we keep going on that trajectory, maybe damaging and then, honestly, dangerous. And I'm a drama teacher. I'm an actor, I have been directing, and we never allow anyone in the acting profession to diminish their character by playing a stereotype. We admonish it. We say, honor your characters. Find out about them. Be curious. See them. I didn't see that student. Ask questions and explore who they could be. Create a roundness. I gave more honor to all the characters that I've created and others have created than a human being. In the theater, we have a really great tool called an archetype. And we all know archetypes from the performance world. It's what creates the characters in our stories. They are tools to figure out what role we have in the shared story of humanity. I'm going to share 12 archetypes. This is Culture Talk's idea, taken from Carl Jung's work. He's a Swiss psychiatrist. And looking at the behaviors and the thought patterns and all of the elements that go into human beings, these 12 make up us as humanity. You can recognize some of the names on there: hero and lover, revolutionary, every person. And thinking about these 12 archetypes and people around the world, these are not the only ones. Let's be aware that there's a really fun article that has 99 archetypes that we find in the movies that we're watching. And there's another article with 253 from around the world. Globally, we connect. We may change the names. We connect. And if everyone has, let's take these 12, inside of us. Some of them are dominant, some of them are latent. They're all there. And then we become, as humanity, an infinite combination of these different roles and different parts of them and percentages of them. how exciting to blow apart the idea of that flat stereotype and go with the multifacetedness of who we are as human beings on this journey that we're sharing together. If we think about archetypes, and I invite us to contemplate them and come into the artist world and see what that might be, we can bring up, I took an assessment, and the Culture Talk assessment, and I am, you can see, a magician, a lover, and a ruler are my top. And underneath, we have some of the traits. There are more traits than that. Otherwise, we're back to the stereotype. So there are more traits than that, and we're multifaceted. And this is me. Let's do what I'm inviting you to do with the jock. I did this. You may choose differently. I see him as a hero and as a sage seeking the wisdom, and definitely as a revolutionary. He's coming into that drama class. What happens then that draws us to those stereotypes? Aren't they, as a performer, aren't they funny? We use them for humor, for sure. I had this amazing improv troupe of teenagers. They challenged me and they performed really like no other group that I've been with. And because we are performers, we discuss the difference between archetypes and stereotypes. And it's easy to fall into a stereotype when you're in the middle of a scene and something's funny. I can call even my teenagers my sullen, smelly teenagers. It doesn't really go anywhere. We challenged ourselves to see if we could bring the humor, and improv's not all about humor. If we could bring the humor and the story and the humanity through archetypes versus stereotypes. And we came up with this list of differences. And we played, and we explored, and I would add to this, in the spirit of improv, that the stereotype is the no but, and the archetype is the yes and. And I asked them, I say, what do you think we lose? And as I looked at them and moved away from thinking of them as the smelly, sullen teenagers and thought of them as, that is such a lover with a revolutionary, and that is definitely a ruler with hero energy, and looking at them and knowing who they are, one of them piped up and said, the only thing we lose is the sharp edge that cuts. The sharp edge that cuts when we stereotype and push people away. So why do I keep going to stereotypes? What is that habit that I have? What draws me into that? I'm going to suggest two specific things that happen. The first one is a sameness. If you go back to the story I started with, I stereotyped those drama students. I had them be really one facet. Drama students draped on each other. But because I'm one of them, because I am the same, I felt a safeness in saying that. It doesn't lessen the fact that there is diminishing of who they were and perhaps damaging of who they were. Sameness. Not safe, and something I think I'm calling myself to be aware of as I journey through life. It's a habit. And the second one, I am driving down the road and I'm having a good time, and then that person does that thing that person does. And immediately, I've decided everything about them, right there, based on their behavior, which was ridiculous, right, what they just did, dangerous maybe even, and maybe their car, maybe the truck they're in, whatever it is, I just stereotyped them. I am in the safety of my little glass and metal and fiberglass and plastic box. They can't hear me. I mean, maybe they can. I don't think they can hear me, but, something's going on. And unless I go to road rage, what's the danger? What's the problem? The problem for me is that I just increase the depth of my habit groove in the safety of my own car. It gets easier when I'm walking down the street to stereotype someone. It gets easier when I'm scrolling through social media to stereotype someone. It gets easier when I walk into a place of employment to stereotype. It matters if we see people for all of their fullness. And I know we're tired. And I know there are so many things going on in our brains, and the stereotype is going to happen. We're going to be pulling in for that fast food at times. And yet, how do we make sure that we see people for what the possibilities could be? If we're on a story together, or in this story together, and on this journey, how do we invite that diversity? I have a AAA action plan for myself, and I invite you to join me. First A, to be alert and self-aware, noticing when I'm doing it. The second one, to be an accomplice and an advocate, and maybe someday an ally, really being fearless and calling out when you notice it happening, using our voices to make sure other voices are heard. And third, the archetype. Activate the archetype. Have fun with it. We see it in movies and novels everywhere. Have fun with it. Ask questions. Be curious. See that person and know they can be more. And challenge ourselves to step into the complex messiness of this interwoven story that we're in together. And believe in human connection. Slow down. Breathe. Maybe even stop. Get nourished. And ultimately, thrive. I see you, and I want to know more.